I, 27 female, started working at my dad's law firm when I was 18. My dad was the big boss, and two of the lawyers working there were Eric, 41 male now, he was 32 when I met him, and his wife Carol, 36 now, 27 then. At first, I was just answering the phone, making coffee and stuff like that. The issue is that Carol got pregnant, and after the baby was born, she wanted to return to work as soon as possible. I never enjoyed working for Carol because she was always very demanding and uptight. I liked Eric more as a boss, with him being way more relaxed and funny. My dad says they're both great lawyers, but Carol is better. They had problems finding a babysitter because of their crazy work schedule, so they always brought the baby to work. My dad allowed it because he really didn't want to lose Carol. So I had to take care of the baby whenever he was in the office, feeding, burping, changing his diapers, getting him to sleep, and generally giving him attention. The kid is now in grammar school. 3 years ago, Carol and Eric started their divorce, and they both had to leave my dad's firm because they hated each other so much they couldn't work together, but it would have been unfair for one of them to stay. I'd become very close to their son after spending so much time with him in the office. Eric and I also became close friends. He started his own firm and asked me to go with him. He also opened up about his feelings for me, and we started dating. Now we're living together in his big apartment, and my life is generally great. The issue started last week when Carol came by to drop off the son. I was waiting by the door happily and said hi to Carol, but she was not in a good mood. She told me that my happy face was annoying and that she missed when we were all using face masks so she wouldn't have to see it that much. She always has that harsh sense of humour and I'm generally not that affected by it, but this time it made me feel bad. I started to cry a little in the elevator and the kid became worried about me. He told me that he also had cried that week when other kids at his school made fun of him for wearing a Sonic costume to class. I said that those kids were bullies and that he should ignore them. He asked me if his mom was a bully and had to be honest and said that sometimes she was. The issue is that apparently he later talked to Carol about all this and asked her to stop bullying me. She's angry because she feels I'm putting her son against her, and that wasn't my intention. Maybe I should have been more careful with my words, but I also think she could be a little nicer to me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Look, don't get between parents because one thing parents will unite for, even if they're feuding, is their child, or they should if they're good parents. I assume Carol is a bit annoyed with you because she and her ex built up their skills, got married, had a kid, and now a younger model came into the picture. Even if you say nothing was happening beforehand, it certainly doesn't read that way. She probably is sick of seeing your face at the house she should be in with the child she had with her ex. If someone took over my position in the family, they'd be hearing a lot worse than that. Exactly, I'm sure Carol is an excellent attorney. I'd be working on not allowing you around my children. Also, be honest. Did you get chummy with Carol's husband while they were still together, or this office romance just happened to bloom after they divorced? You happily left your daddy's firm for his, but you got together after? I mean, she was 18 and he 32 when they met. She was Eric's boss's daughter, receptionist and de facto nanny. Eric was like, well heck, if I'm getting divorced and starting my own law firm, what do I really need? A receptionist, nanny and a new person to bang. OP is a 3-in-1 deal. But don't worry, Eric's apartment is big, so it's all worth it. I wonder what OP's dad thinks about all this. Especially because Carol was the better lawyer. I bet her dad wishes she'd run off with Carol instead. We can't imagine that the romantic relationship overlapped with the marriage and OP isn't the only one to blame. Carol wanted to bring the baby to work with her. It sounds more like Carol wanted him close and thus the secretary became the daycare. Carol and Eric were not too busy to find a babysitter, nor were they unable to afford one. This sounds like a preference to me. I would say they had OP taking care of their kid instead of paying for daycare. Also, I get that OP didn't have to call Carol a bully, but Carol did insult OP right in front of her kid, and that's Carol bringing the kid into it too. Kids absorb everything around them. They don't miss snide comments. I'd say everyone's the idiot here, except the kid. He sounds very compassionate despite growing up around idiots. 2 weeks ago, I, 27 male, along with 2 other friends, made our annual week-long trip to our mutual friend Alex's cottage. For years, one of our longest-running jokes was that I should bring my 46-foot saltwater fishing boat to the lake. This year, after looking up the lake's policies, we decided to make it a reality. To make this happen, we all split the costs of both the permit and the marina fees. The first 4 days of fishing and boating went very well. However, the same couldn't be said for the 5th. The issue started over some fishing we did in the same bay as Alex's cottage. After using my fish finder, we found a prime spot on the other side of it. Roughly an hour into our being there, a woman, 20 to 30s, we didn't know, kayaked across the bay to us. When she got there, she asked to speak to the boat's owner. When I introduced myself to her, she started saying that the boat wasn't allowed on the lake. My response to her was to point at the lake permit in the windscreen before asking her to leave and not disturb us anymore. This made her furious and she started cussing and screaming at us. For safety reasons, Alex started recording her just in case she did anything stupid. This only made things worse as she started trying to pull up our fishing and anchor lines. In doing this, she wound up breaking my $3,000 rod. This was when her demeanor did a 180 and she began to plead with us not to call the police. As collateral, she offered to replace it and pay for the next year's permit. I rejected the offer and used my VHF to call for police assistance right in front of her. The result was her getting fined for angler harassment and arrested for felony destruction of property. 2 days after all of this happened, Alex and his parents found themselves being visited by the woman's mother. From what he told me, she started going on off them and saying we were idiots for getting her daughter arrested. She believes we should have accepted her apologies and offered to replace it. Looking back, I am conflicted as what I did could be considered vengeful, as she legitimately offered to make amends. Am I the idiot for getting her arrested? Not the idiot. There's no reason to believe a woman harassing would pay you back what she broke. Also, her mom is witness intimidating and I think you should call the cop on her too, for giggles. Of all the similar situations I've been in, the times that I did not call the police came back to bite me in the butt. It sucks that she got charges and fines. Maybe next time she will think twice before being a terror. Exactly, the way the daughter acted and then how the parents acted towards you would have only solidified my confidence that calling the police was the right action. It's clear that the daughter never faced the consequences from the parents and therefore grew up entitled and not thinking she should have to deal with the consequences of her actions. The fact that a grown damn woman has mommy out fighting battles for her says a lot. You do not owe grace to someone initiating violence, destructive and unpredictable behaviour. Who cares what their mother thinks? Perhaps she should have raised her daughter better, or ensured she would not harass others if she had an issue where she couldn't control herself. My female 25 sister, 27, is getting married. We don't come from a wealthy family. Her fiancé and his family are also not wealthy, so neither our parents nor his will help pay for the wedding. I got married 3 years ago and my husband is wealthy enough, so we decided to help pay for their wedding. We will pay for the venue, catering, and the bridesmaids' dresses. That's only what we agreed to, but we're happy to pay for more stuff in case the money is needed. We don't really have problems with money, and it makes us happy to help them celebrate their wedding. I don't have a job and I love to plan social events, especially weddings, so I offered my help to my sister, and she's very happy with my help. Up until now, we've had many discussions, and my sister, future brother-in-law, and I have been on the same page for almost everything. However, it's about time she buys her dress and picks the bridesmaids' dresses. So I went over to her apartment and I suggested we could go shopping on the weekend since she doesn't work. We could take our mom, her future mother-in-law, and maybe someone else if she wants to. My sister was taken aback by this request and said she planned to go alone because she didn't want to feel pressured to pick a dress she didn't like. She said it has happened with some other stuff and doesn't want it to happen with the dress. I told her that that's not fun at all. Dress shopping is a nice activity to do together. I'm also her maid of honor and I want to help her pick her dress. She told me I would bully her into buying a dress I like and not one she actually likes and wants to use on her special day. We argued about this for a bit more. The more we spoke, the worse I felt because this was supposed to be a bonding activity. I invited her to go buy my dress when I got married. Why can't she do the same? Then I told her I felt like her ATM because she only wanted my money but didn't want to include me. She told me I offered to help them pay for the wedding, they didn't ask, and that I was an idiot for trying to gaslight her into doing what I wanted. Then I left. My husband agrees that if my sister can't do something as small as letting me go with her to buy her dress, then I should tell her I will not help pay for it. However, my sister cried to our parents, and my mom called me to tell me off because it looked like I was using my husband's money to get my sister to do anything I wanted for her day. You are the idiot, and your sister is right. This isn't about you wanting to bond, this is about you wanting to have some control over your sister. If this was really about bonding, you would have said, "I'm sorry you feel I would try to take over your day, but I promise I won't. You can get any dress you want, I just want to be there with you." But no, you won't say that because you want to choose her dress for her. It also sounds like it wouldn't be the first time OP forced her sister into doing something she didn't want for her wedding. It's nice she offered to pay, but she needs to remember this is not her social event to plan. OP is an unreliable narrator who is clearly steamrolling her sister to do things OP's way because she has money. Your husband is the idiot too. It's her wedding, not yours. If you will add conditions to your gift, then keep it. Gifts with strings attached are not gifts. OP, you're a bulldozer. You want things your way and don't see that people are unhappy with those choices. I wouldn't be surprised if the sister elopes just to untangle herself from this supposed gift. My 28 male girlfriend, let's call her Emma, 26, likes to wear high heels and has ever since I've known her. She's self-conscious about her height, but it's not really a big deal when we're together as I'm short. She's 5'2" and I'm 5'6". The issue, however, is when we go out together, she normally drives as it's her car and she drives in her heels. I repeatedly tell her she should switch to flats and not drive in them as it's dangerous, but she refuses and says she knows how to drive in them and is used to it and claims in some cases it's easier as you can pivot between pedals easier. I think she's not being honest, as I can't possibly see how it would be easier. Last week she got into a small accident and rear-ended someone. I wasn't there, but a car changed lanes in front of her and she rear-ended it. I bought her some sneakers and told her to use them as driving shoes and left them in her car. And she called me an idiot and said her accident had nothing to do with the shoes and that I should drop it. Am I the idiot here? I just want her to be safe. You don't sound like you understand Emma as a person separate from her relationship with you. I infer this because you think that her issues with her height shouldn't be a problem because you're not very tall. Why would her perception of her height have anything to do with you? Then you assert the danger of driving in heels. It doesn't sound like you have any personal experience wearing or driving in heels, but because of your superior mind, you can see that her choices are bad, even though they relate to things you don't understand, like what's easy and hard in heels. Further, you assume that a car accident she was in was caused by her and by her driving in heels. Further, you insist on it being your job to fix what you see as wrong with her. You are the idiot for treating her like a person with no agency and like you know her experience better than her. I disagree. OP's not the idiot. Woman here, heels are objectively dangerous to drive in for many reasons, according to literally every single expert on the topic. One I saw cited by an automobile association was that if your heel is elevated, it's much harder to judge how much pressure to apply to the pedals. This might explain why she rear-ended someone. Maybe she didn't brake hard enough because she had no concept of how much pressure she was applying. It also damages the heels, just FYI. It's not good for the shoes either. The fact that the majority of people here are arguing against an actual proven fact that is supported by the entire industry, like this on the same level of saying seatbelts aren't necessary, that's how well established this fact is, because, but I know better than the experts and the crash tests and all of the evidence, that is a reason I'm terrified of being on the road. You all don't know what you're doing, which is why so many people get hurt. I would refuse to ever get in a car with someone who insisted on driving in heels, just like I would refuse to get in a car with someone who regularly went 50 kilometers over the speed limit or drove while drinking, because it's proven not to be safe. My male 35 girlfriend, Abby, 32 of 6 months, has 2 cats. A week ago, she broke her leg and arm while climbing a climbing wall. I offered to help her with chores, we don't live together, and that I'd stay with her while she couldn't do much. She didn't want to accept, saying it was too much work, but I insisted. I thought it would be a great trial run to potentially live together in the future. We haven't talked about that yet. As I said, she has 2 cats. Her cats don't go outside and she has carpets in her flat. She has 3 litter boxes. She instructed me that they need to be scooped daily and wiped down on the sides with pet wipes, and she said carpets need daily hoovering with cats. At first I didn't mind, but it quickly got annoying. I tried talking to her about this, suggesting that 3 litter boxes are too many, that they can be cleaned every few days, etc. I tried to get her to see that she was being unreasonable and over the top, but she wouldn't budge, always finding an excuse why she needed to do it that way. One day I was about to scoop the litter box and there was just one poop. I told her that was ridiculous. It's just one thing, it can stay there until the next day. She asked if I was at least going to hoover, and I said no. There's only some fur on the ground and a few pieces of litter. It'll be fine until the next day. She got annoyed with me. The next day she told me her mother was coming to stay with her and that I had to leave, and she called me later to chat. Honestly, I was angry and we argued and she called me a selfish idiot. She still hasn't called me, and my mate said I should have waited with changes until we were living together because she couldn't dismiss my point of view then. I don't know, I kind of feel bad. I mean, she couldn't really do it herself. Was I the idiot? Should I call first and apologise? She still hasn't called me. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot. Oh, you're going to try to force her to do things your way after you've lulled her into living together? Well, you just blew the surprise. I suspect none of your mates has ever lived with their girlfriends, lol. And no, she's not going to call you. Oh my gosh, he's 35 and thinks, if I trap her into living together, she'll have to listen to me. It's a little scary that people plan this out, like, don't demand your way until she's stuck with you, that way she'll eventually give in. This is why I won't remarry if my husband dies. He's great, and I don't like my odds of finding a good one after him, lol. As a cat owner, I will explain something. Cats hate dirty cat boxes. If they get too dirty, cats will go elsewhere. And she's right about scooping boxes multiple times a day. Her cats are basically her kids. This was an excellent trial run. She learned you really don't want to care for her cats, her kids. So hopefully she dumped you, and you learned a valuable lesson. You don't want to be with a woman who has cats.